Today we are going to talk about a topic that is very close to my heart, something I wish I had understood more deeply when I was in my 20s. It is the power of small habits. This podcast is not only a quiet moment for you to sit down and think deeply about your own life, but it is also a wonderful chance for you to improve your English naturally, comfortably, and without any pressure. So please make yourself a warm cup of tea, sit down in your favorite chair, relax your shoulders, and join me on this journey. If you find this channel helpful and it's helping you grow, please hit that subscribe button. Your support gives me the motivation to keep producing the next episodes for you. Now let's get back to the show. My friends, when I turned 50 years old, I realized an important truth. Time is the fairest teacher in life. It doesn't care who you are, it just keeps moving. Many young people often come to me and ask, "Uncle, how can I become successful in this chaotic world?" Or, "How can I live a peaceful and meaningful life?" I notice that most people are always looking for a big change, a huge opportunity, a lottery win, or a dramatic turning point that alters their life overnight. But let an old man tell you this. Life usually does not work like that. In English, there is a very beautiful financial concept called compound interest. If you understand finance, you know that compound interest multiplies your money over time. Well, our daily habits work in the exact same way. When you repeat a small, seemingly insignificant action every day, at first you will not see any visible result. It is like planting a seed deep into the ground. After 1 day, 2 days, even a week, the ground still looks completely flat and empty. You might think nothing is happening. But deep beneath the surface, roots are growing. Let me tell you a story to illustrate this, the stonecutter's story. Imagine an old stonecutter standing before a giant boulder. He takes his heavy hammer and hits the stone with all his might. Bang! Nothing happens. He hits it 20 times, 50 times, 80 times. The stone doesn't move. There is not even a tiny small crack on the surface. To an outsider, it looks like his efforts are completely wasted. Then he hits it for the 101st time. Suddenly, crack! The giant stone breaks beautifully into 2 pieces. Now let me ask you a question. Was it the final hit that broke the stone? No, of course not. It was the power and the cumulative effect of the 100 hits before it. Each hit weakened the internal structure of the stone, even though it wasn't visible from the outside. In English, there is a wonderful quote by James Clear that perfectly captures this. Success is the product of daily habits, not once-in-a-lifetime transformations. My young friends, please never underestimate small actions. Don't say, "Oh, it's just 5 pages." Reading 5 pages a day means you read about 6 books a year. Learning 5 English words every morning means you have nearly 1,800 new words in a year. Listening to a short English podcast for 10 minutes every night before bed completely reshapes your listening skills. After 1 year, you look back and you will find yourself miles ahead of where you started. Now, let's move on to our second part, the identity shift. In English, the word identity, it answers the question, who are you? In my 50 years of living, I have seen so many people fail to build new habits. They start with great enthusiasm on Monday, but by Friday they give up. Why? because they focus way too much on outcomes instead of focusing on their identity. Let me give you a very common example. If you say, "I want to learn English to pass an exam," or "I need to get an IELTS 7.0 certificate," that is an outcome-based goal. It is purely focused on the result. What happens after the exam ends? What happens when you get that piece of paper? Your motivation completely disappears and you stop practicing. You go back to your old self. But what if you change your mindset completely? What if you look in the mirror and say, "I am an English speaker"? Can you feel the difference? Now your identity changes. You are no longer a student forcing himself to memorize vocabulary. You are an English speaker. And how does an English speaker behave? They naturally incorporate the language into their life. They listen to English music because they love the melody. They read English news to understand the world. They try to think in English during their morning walk. It becomes a lifestyle, not a chore. Let me tell you another story, a personal one about an old friend of mine. Let's call him Jack. 10 years ago, Jack was seriously overweight. He suffered from high blood pressure, and the doctor warned him that his health was in danger. Like most people, Jack didn't know what to do, but he didn't suddenly rush to the gym and spend 3 grueling hours a day lifting weights. He knew that wouldn't last. Instead, he made very, very small changes. Every single meal, when he was about to finish, he chose to eat exactly 1 spoon less rice than usual. Just 1 spoon. And when he drove to work, instead of parking right at the entrance, he parked his car 50 meters farther away from the office, so he was forced to walk a little more every day. I remember sitting with him at a cafe back then, and I asked him how his diet was going. He looked at me, smiled, and said, "My friend, I am not trying to lose weight. I am simply learning to live like a healthy person." And guess what? 2 years later, Tuan lost 15 kilograms. No extreme dieting, no immense stress. His body transformed because his mindset shifted from, "I want to lose weight," to, "I am a healthy person." Learning English is exactly the same, my friends. Do not force yourself to become a perfect scholar or a human dictionary overnight. Instead, relax. Think of yourself as a curious child discovering a beautiful, rich new language. Embrace the identity of someone who loves to learn. Let us sit back, take a sip of tea, and move into the 3rd chapter of our conversation. The 2-minute rule. If I have to name one of the biggest enemies of human potential, it is procrastination. We all know that feeling, don't we? You sit on the sofa, you know you should study, you know you should exercise, but a voice inside your head says, "Maybe tomorrow. I'm too tired today." As a man who has observed human nature for decades, I can tell you that our brains are naturally wired to be lazy. They always choose comfort, safety, and easy things. It's an evolutionary mechanism. So how do we fight our own biology? We don't fight it with raw willpower. We trick it. And we trick it using the 2-minute rule. The fundamental idea of this rule is beautiful in its simplicity. When you start a new habit, it should take less than 2 minutes to do. Let's break this down with some real-life contrast. Instead of telling yourself, "I am going to run 5 kilometers today," which sounds exhausting to a tired brain, you scale it down. You say, "I will just put on my running shoes and step outside the door." Instead of saying, "I will sit down and study difficult English grammar for 1 hour," which makes you want to open TikTok instead, you say, "I will just open my favorite app and listen to a simple 2-minute English conversation." The deep secret here is that the goal is not to do the big action. The secret is simply getting started. In physics, there is a concept called inertia. The hardest part of any movement is overcoming the initial stillness. Once you put on your running shoes and you are already outside, your brain says, "Well, I'm already here, I might as well walk a bit." Once you open the English lesson and listen for 2 minutes, you think, "Hey, this is actually quite interesting, let's listen for 5 more minutes." This momentum is incredibly powerful. You see, a habit must be established before it can be improved. If you can't master the art of starting in 2 minutes, you will never master the habit itself. So make your daily habits so small, so remarkably easy, that your lazy brain simply cannot say no. Welcome to the 4th part of our journey, environmental design. At my age, after watching people succeed and fail, after failing many times myself, I have come to understand something very deeply. Human willpower is highly limited. Willpower is like a battery. It drains throughout the day as you face stress, traffic, and work decisions. By 8 p.m., your willpower battery is usually at 5%. If you rely purely on willpower to do good things, you are setting yourself up for failure. But do you know what is stronger than willpower? The environment. The physical spaces we inhabit every day silently shape our behavior. If you want to eat healthy food, but your kitchen counter is constantly full of candy, cookies, and chips, your 5% willpower doesn't stand a chance. Eventually, you will reach for the sugar. That is why the ultimate secret to success is to design your environment for success. We must make the cues of our good habits highly obvious, and we must make the cues of our bad habits completely invisible. Let me share a story about my own son when he was a teenager, the story of the dusty guitar. My son once fell in love with rock music and wanted to learn how to play the guitar very badly. He saved up his pocket money and bought a beautiful, expensive acoustic guitar. But he was very protective of it. He kept it inside a thick black gig bag, zipped it up tight, and placed it deep inside his bedroom closet so it wouldn't get scratched. Every evening after a long day at school, he would come home, feel exhausted, sit on the sofa, and spend 2 hours scrolling mindlessly on his phone. The guitar stayed in the closet, gathering dust. He kept saying he didn't have the motivation to practice. One Sunday afternoon, I walked into his room and told him, "Son, do me a favor. Take the guitar out of that bag, take it out of the closet, and place it on a stand right next to the living room sofa, right where you always sit." He followed my advice. And do you know what happened? Within a week, he started playing guitar almost every single day. Why? Because the barrier was gone. Every time he sat down on the sofa to rest, the guitar was staring right at him. He didn't need motivation. The cue had become completely obvious. So, my friends, look at your environment. If you want to improve your English, stop hiding it in heavy textbooks inside your backpack. Change your phone's display language to English. You look at your phone 100 times a day. Make those 100 times an English environment. Place an English book directly on your pillow before you leave for work in the morning. When you go to bed at night, it's right there waiting for you. Download your favorite English podcast episodes and set them to play automatically when you plug your headphones in for your morning walk. Make English a natural, unavoidable part of your daily environment. Design your world so that doing the right thing becomes the easiest option. Now we have arrived at our fifth destination, tracking and reward. This is the final key to building long-lasting habits. It answers the ultimate question: how do I keep going when the initial excitement fades away? Because let's be honest, the first week of any new routine feels exciting. But by week 3, the novelty wears off, it becomes mundane, and you feel bored. This is exactly where habit tracking and immediate rewards become absolutely vital. As human beings, our brains are hardwired to love the feeling of progress. We need to see that we are moving forward, that our efforts mean something. To practice habit tracking, I want you to do something very old school, just like me. Buy or print out a small physical wall calendar. Place it somewhere you look every day. Every single day that you successfully finish your 2 minutes of English or your short walk, take a thick red marker and draw a big bold X over that date. Your mission from that day forward becomes very simple, almost like a game. Don't break the chain. When you look at the wall after 2 weeks and see 14 red X's connected together, a deep psychological shift happens. You feel proud. You look at that beautiful chain and you think, I am not going to let today be the blank space. You protect your progress. But tracking alone is not enough. You must also learn to reward yourself. Our brains love instant gratification. Unfortunately, the rewards of good habits, like speaking fluent English or having a fit body, are delayed. They take months or years to appear. To bridge this gap, you need to create an immediate reward. After you finish listening to an English podcast episode, pair it with something that genuinely makes you happy. Enjoy a delicious, high-quality cup of hot coffee. Give yourself 10 minutes of guilt-free relaxation outside in the garden. Or put on your absolute favorite piece of music. By doing this, you are conditioning your brain. Your neurological system slowly learns a positive association. Hey, when I finish this English listening habit, something good happens immediately after. I should definitely repeat this action tomorrow. Please, my dear friends, be patient with yourself during this process. Rome was not built in a day, and neither is a new life. Growth is a slow, quiet process. It takes time, and that is perfectly okay. My dear friends and companions, our journey together have passed so very quickly. It feels like we just sat down with our tea a few moments ago. Before we say goodbye today and return to our busy lives, let us pause, take a deep breath, and remember the 5 golden keys behind the quiet power of small habits. 1. The accumulation of time. Always remember the stonecutter. True success does not come from a single massive explosion. It comes from small, daily, honest efforts repeated again and again. 2. The identity shift. Stop focusing just on the temporary results you want to grab. Focus deeply on the person you want to become. Shift your mind from, I am studying English, to, I am an English speaker. 3. The 2-minute rule. Defeat your old enemy, procrastination. by making the beginning of any good habit so incredibly small and simple that it takes less than 2 minutes to start. Build the momentum first. 4. Environmental design. Don't rely on a weak willpower battery. Take your guitar out of the closet, create a physical environment that naturally supports your good habits and hides your distractions. 5. Tracking and reward. Keep your eyes on your progress. Mark those beautiful red X's on your calendar, protect your chain, and always remember to reward your efforts with kindness. My friends, as a man who has lived through 50 years of changes, I can assure you of this. Life is not shaped by the big dramatic things we do once in a while. Life is entirely shaped by the small, quiet things we choose to do every single day. I truly hope that today's sharing from an older friend can give you a little more warmth, a little more comfort, and a steady stream of motivation on your beautiful journey of self-improvement and English learning. Thank you so much for spending your valuable time with me today on the Awake English podcast. I wish you a peaceful day ahead, full of positive energy, clear thoughts, and steady progress. If you find this channel helpful and it's helping you grow, please hit that subscribe button. Your support gives me the motivation to keep producing the next episodes for you. Also, I'd love to hear from you. Leave a comment below with the topics you want me to cover next. Take care of yourselves, and I will see you next time. Goodbye.